Alright guys, in this video I'm going to go over the BC Racing coilover differences. I'm going to tell you what the differences are between each of the different coilovers and which ones you should get depending on what you're looking for and what your budget is for your car. So let's get right into it. So basically, there's a couple of universal things that all BC Racing coilovers have, and I'm going to list those out first so you know what to expect. So first of all BC Racing coilovers have shock body height adjustment. Now, if you don't know what that means, go watch this video up here. I'm going to put a link in the description below, where I also explain the difference there between shock body height adjustment and spring perch height adjustment. Now, one quick note with this is that this excludes the ASP series, which is a new series that BC Racing coilovers are currently making and will probably be released soon, that have spring perch height adjustment. And the reason why is because some cars have sensors on the suspension, like the active suspension control, etc. And if you mess with the rate, then you can't adjust the shock body height because it's going to mess with the systems. So they're coming out with those spring perch height adjustment ones for those cars, but those are not out yet. Every other model of BC Racing, BR series and all the popular ones have shock body height adjustment. Again, if you don't know what that is, go watch that other video I made on this. Now, the next thing is all of them have camber plates on the front if it's applicable. So on McPherson Strut cars, basically, they'll have the front. Rears are optional on some, and on some that are actually applicable as well. And some come with them, which I'm going to go into it. Some of the top spec ones actually come factory with them. So I'm going to mention that when I go into the specific models. The next thing is that they're all customizable by spring rates and valving to match, and damper valving. So all of their kits can be customized to custom spring rates and damper valving. All of the ones from the BR through to the ZR, you can do that with them. You can get Swift Spring upgrade on all of them. Now, a couple of their models do come standard with Swift Springs as well, and I'm going to go into that when we list out the models in a minute. But basically, all of them can have Swift Spring upgrade. You get a 2-year warranty on all of them as well. They are all rebuildable. So every kit they sell is actually rebuildable, and they have the extreme low option. So if you want to go extreme low, which is about 2 to 4 inches lower than factory from memory. On most kits, it depends on the specific car model, but typically speaking, it's in that range. You can get the extreme low as well. So that is what all their kits have in the range. And then within that, there's specific specs within each coilover. So we're going to go into that now, and I'm going to list out the different models they have and what the key differences between them are. Okay, so number one is the BR series, which is by far the most popular kit that exists by BC Racing. This is the one you're going to see for around $1,195. And it's the one where they make the most amount of kits for. I think there's about 800 and something different car models they make the BR series for. So it's by far their most popular kit, and it's basically their entry-level one. So this one is the cheapest. It's around $1,200 depending on the car model. Some are a little bit more expensive. Now, this one is a one-way dampening adjustable with linear damping and upright dampers. So that's the thing with them. And basically, this is a daily driver / occasional track day kit. So if you want a kit for your daily driver that's relatively comfortable and is designed to be driven all the time, but can handle the odd track use, then these are the ones you should go for. This is their entry-level kit. Now, one other thing I should have actually noted, and I forgot, is that all of the dampers are monotube. So all the dampers that BC Racing have are monotube, which makes them good for performance. So keep that in mind as well. Now, the next one is the DS series. So the DS series is basically like the BR series, except the only difference is that it's got digressive valving. So these are one-ways as well, one-way dampening adjustable, which means, I should have mentioned that here as well, compression and rebound get adjusted at the same time. So when you do one click, it adjusts the rebound and the compression at the same time. That's what it means by one way. These are digressive valved. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to put a link above to a video where I spoke about the difference between linear and digressive valving. Basically, this makes them a bit more responsive and typically better for track use. So some people use digressive valving for performance and track-based coilovers. And the other feature these have is their upright dampers. So these are basically entry-level track. So if you're just doing like regular track days, you want a little bit more response from your coilovers, then the DS series are a good option for you. And that's the ones you should get if you only have, I think they're about $1,200 or $1,300 from memory. So they're basically a good entry-level track kit. You're doing track days regularly, etc., things like that. Now the next one are M series, and these are also one-way adjustable. So these ones that I'm listing out right now, these are all one-way dampening adjustable, meaning compression and rebound simultaneously adjust when you adjust the dampers. So they're one-way adjustable, they're linear damper valving, and they have inverted dampers. So that's the key part about these ones. And what that means is that the actual dampers themselves are upside down so that the oil and gas section is at the top and they have a much thicker tube. So that's beneficial for performance applications on McPherson strut cars. So the thing is, these are only available for McPherson strut. So I'm going to put that on here. So things like BMWs, where the front strut and sometimes the rear as well, I believe Subarus have them on the rear, it's actually part of the strut. Whereas in, like, let's say for example, Nissan 350Zs and things like that, you just got the damper and the spring, so the coilover, but then you got the double A-arm, and the damper is not actually part of the turning system, whereas there is on the McPherson struts. And so what happens there is when you're going around corners and there's a lot of force being applied, what happens is it can actually, in extreme cases, even bend the shock or the damper piston rod and sometimes even break it. And so the idea behind the inverted struts is that it's a much more rigid and it prevents that from happening, as well as it shifts the weight up, etc., etc. If you want to know more about the benefits of inverted dampers, I made a video, so go watch that one. I'll put the link above and in the description below, and that will explain the difference there. But basically, these are more for track use. So they're like a cheaper version track use. The unfortunate thing is that inverted dampers don't last too long on the street. Typically speaking, they need more servicing. So therefore, these are more if you're, let's say you're building a budget track day car or something like that, these will probably be a better option if you have a McPherson strut car. That's what they're for. So now we'll move on to the two-way adjustables. And the first of the two-way adjustables are the ER series. So this is number 4. They've got 6 in total, not including the ASPs. So the ER series are two-way, linear, with upright dampers. And these also have external reservoirs, and they come with front and rear camber adjustable mounts. So I'm just going to put front and rear camber. Now that's only on applicable kits that actually have rear McPherson. So for example, Subarus, if you don't have rear camber adjustment on the actual damper, so it's not a rear McPherson strut, then they're not going to have the rear arm, but they will have the front as long as the front's McPherson as well. But basically they are the first two-way adjustable that BC offers. So on these ones, what's the key point here is this is basically like a BR series, so the first ones, except that you can adjust the compression and rebound independently. So that if you want more control over being able to adjust the damper settings, so for example, more track use typically is why you'd want this, but also if you want more on the street as well, then these are a good option for you. So these are both street and track, and that's what they're good for. So if you want more control over the dampening adjustment, basically you would get these ones, and everything else is like relatively normal. So linear damping adjustment, upright dampers, etc., etc. So basically the normal setup. Now you got number 5, which is the HM series, and these are also a two-way. So same thing, independent compression and rebound adjustment. And these are also linear as well, so linear valving. So nothing unusual there, except these are also inverted. So if you want a two-way with the inverted dampers, like we spoke about previously with the RM series, which are inverted one-ways, these are the inverted two-ways. So these are basically RMs with the two-way dampening adjustment. And so these also have external reservoirs, and they also come with Swift springs, standard. So you don't actually have to do the upgrade on these. They come standard with the Swift springs. So basically, and front and rear camber adjustment. And these will obviously have front camber on all of them because you have to be inverted for McPherson. So these are only available for, again, McPherson cars. They're not available for cars that don't have McPherson strut. These are track use two-ways. If you want two-ways for the track use, a little bit more control over your dampers, and you want the inverted dampers, these are the ones you want to go for. And then number 6 is the ZR series, which at the moment is their top of the line kit. And these are three-way adjustable. So these ones give you three-way dampening adjustment. And what that means is you can adjust the rebound and the low speed and high speed compression independently. Now what that means is We're not talking about low speed, high speed of the car. We're talking about low speed, high speed of the damper piston. And so you can actually slow down the low speed or stiffen up the low speed and soften or stiffen the high speed of the damper moving independently. And so that obviously gives you even more control over your suspension and lets you adjust it exactly how you need it for different conditions, different tracks, things like that. These are also linear, so linear valving. They're also inverted if applicable. So if on cars that are McPherson, these will be inverted. On cars that are not McPherson, they still make these, but they're just normal upright dampers. So keep that in mind as well. Now, the other thing is these have Swift spring standard and front and rear camber, and external reservoirs as well. So basically, these are like the HM series or the ER series if it's not upright. So basically, these two are the same, except for the inverted damper on the McPherson Strut cars. And then these are basically either these or these with three-way adjusting. So if you want a full control that they give you from BC Racing over your dampening adjustment, then the ZR series is for you. And basically these are designed as a full track spec kit. They're designed for racing use, more professional type motorsports, things like that. No reason you can't use them on the street, but that's what they're designed for, because typically speaking, you don't need a lot of these features for the street, especially the inverted dampers and three-way adjustment. You don't really need it, but if you want it, you want to run them on the street, you theoretically could. Just keep in mind the inverted damper thing, they don't tend to last as long on the street due to their design, so keep that in mind if that's what you choose to do. But that's basically it. So you've got the line of the one-way adjustable with their various features. You've got the two ways here, and then you got the three-way option here, which is basically their full spec kit. That's the entire lineup at the moment of the BC Racing coilovers. They go all the way from street to full track. If you have any questions about any of these, put them in the comments below and I will answer them. Otherwise, if you'd like to buy any of these coilovers or a bunch of other coilovers as well, we've got all of these on our site, plus a bunch of other brands as well. Head over to nefariousracing.com and you'll be able to get them there. Otherwise, if you need help selecting the right coilovers for your car, on our website, we've got forms on practically every page you can submit where you tell us what car you have and what you're trying to get and your budget, and we will help to suggest the right coilover kit for your needs, your budget, and your particular car. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Catch you on the next one.